Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. This is your host, Rachel Abbasi and Autumn Abbasi. and I am a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and she is the dog of me. Oh no. Anyway, for those of you who aren't looking at the video, Autumn is hosting with me today. So I know some of you only look at the video when I give you reason to, and I'm telling you, there's reason. Right, Autumn? Yes, she's a princess. Okay. Um, so today I'm gonna talk about relapse. It was the topic in the morning meeting, and I realized that we recover topics, and that's pretty much part of the point, is that in recovery, my brain is constantly doing the same thing, and I have to be reminded of what it was like and what it's like now in order to remain sober, and not only physically sober, but mentally sober. I think Autumn has allergies. Her little poor eyes drain daily. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. She's my co-host. She's not as good as Bailey. She's not saying anything. Hello. Okay. Um, So I wanted to talk about, I heard a really, really good um, share this morning, and it really got me thinking about how my mind is constantly distracting me. And my mind is always trying to get me to avoid things that I don't like. My mind wants me to turn on my wanter. And so I have to actively make a decision to do the opposite of what my mind is almost telling me, like the instincts. I talked about instincts within the past week, and how I need to retrain myself to have different instincts than I've had most of my life. Like Autumn's instincts, we're training her how to do the opposite as well. So when she's walking down the street with me and we pass a squirrel, she has learned that not her instinct tells her to go chase the squirrel, but she is required to turn that instinct off. I'm no different than that. When I see alcohol, my instinct tells me that is good for me. Oh, she's gone. She doesn't like this topic. She's like, don't talk about me. She's going to lay in the bed. Um, so where was I? Yeah. So my instinct, my alcoholic instinct is to reach for the drink. But it's not good for me. It's not going to, um, it's not on the path of happy for me. Choose happy. That's not it. That's not the next right thing for me to do. So we have to, on a daily basis, moment by moment, look at the things that are distracting us, be aware, be self-aware about the things that are distracting us. And those distractions are, I mean, are any of them healthy? I don't know. I'm not even sure right now if any of those distractions that my brain leads me to are actually healthy. I tend to be distracted most of all by wanting to solve a problem. I'm looking at problems, I'm thinking about problems, and I want to solve them. I want to solve them while I'm in AA meetings. I want to solve them while I'm eating dinner. I want to solve a lot of them when I'm falling asleep. I constantly, when I'm walking my dogs, I want to solve my problems. And that's distracting me from what it is I'm actually doing. What am I doing in the moment? And for a relapse, this is for me. So, as always, I'm just talking about my experience. Boris, no, stop licking Autumn. I don't care if he licks her, but he starts choking on her hair, and then I have to suffer. Boris, stop licking Autumn. Okay. So, the relapse for me, um, I, when I first was trying out not drinking, I was so unsuccessful at it that I don't think I was ever sober per se or away from a drink long enough to for it to constitute a relapse. I was, I wouldn't drink for a day, maybe. I mean, I was lucky if I went a day. But there were times that I started getting serious and I would not drink for a day. That's me being serious. And Boris, you're interrupting us. Stop licking Autumn. He's got the zoomies right now. So focus, Rachel, focus. Squirrel. Let's see. Let's see. I'm chasing the squirrel right now. That's what's happening. Um, so what I really define as a relapse is my first time into detox when I left and I relapsed after 2 months. That I would call a relapse because I actually was on my way. I don't have a definition that I could probably articulate, but to me, that's what a relapse was in my story. And the reason why I relapsed was because my disease kept distracting me from the next right thing. And I can get all the therapy in the world, but when all the therapists go home, when the AA meeting ends, all that good stuff, I'm left alone with myself. And myself likes to fight me. It does. Um, I have lots of tools that I've learned from my program, HALT being one of them, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. If I'm any one of those four things, my thoughts are going to be disturbed with something that is not healthy for me. And I'm not saying that I'm gonna be disturbed by the thought that I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. It's when I'm hungry, angry, or lonely, or tired that I get unbalanced, mentally unbalanced, and I start thinking about things. Sorry, the dogs are going crazy. Thinking about things that solving problems that don't have anything to do with hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. It's disturbing my thoughts. And that is, for me, mental sobriety, emotional and mental sobriety. Um, when I first got out of detox, I could not grasp the idea of living one day at a time. I was like, how is that possible? How are you, how are you supposed to live in today? Like, I got shit to solve. I got problems to solve. How can I, and those problems are in tomorrow. How am I going to live in today? How am I going to be entirely present in the moment when I've got things I've got to work out? Because it's like I felt like I needed to pave the road in front of me before I got to it, you know? And and today, yes, I plan ahead for things, I plan for the future and stuff, but I try to only solve problems that are right in front of me. It's kind of like when I'm driving on a road, so I'm going to keep using that analogy. Instead of paving the road ahead of me before I actually get there, this is more like when the road turns, I turn with it. And I have to trust that I have the wherewithal, the self knowledge, the courage, the intelligence, all of that stuff to know when to turn the wheel. Um, when I was drinking and before I was introduced to all of these amazing but very simple concepts, I was really thinking about, okay, what is it going to take to turn the wheel if the road goes to the left or the right? You know, what is it going to take? Okay, I'm going to have to maybe put my left hand a little higher on the wheel. I might put my right hand a little lower on the wheel. I might have to look over my left shoulder. And who knows, maybe I want to look over my right shoulder just in case, because you never know where things are going to come out and bite me, or run in front of the car. That's what I would compare this living in today to, is that the first time out of detox, I was planning for what happens if. Um, and I didn't even have, like, I hadn't practiced the program enough to really have anything in my toolbox yet. So I was trying to look ahead, pave the road ahead of me, and resolve any issues that might come up when I didn't even have the tools to resolve issues. Oh my God. Oh my God. Did you guys see that? Oh dear. We're gonna keep going. Autumn just jumped over my shoulder. I'm gonna have to play that back for myself. Oh wow. Whew, we're gonna keep going. So the second time when I got out of detox, well, no, the second time I went into detox, thank you, dogs. Um, I I don't know what hit me and why this was what happened for me. You don't know. Like the seeds are planted at some point along our journey. And something that was planted for me was take all the suggestions that are given to you. And I know I talk about it all the time. The lady in my meetings in early sobriety used to say, if somebody were to tell me to roll a penny down the street with my nose, I would have done it because I was willing to do whatever it took to get and stay sober. So that might have been what stuck with me. I'm not quite sure, but I knew the second time I went into detox that my way was no, it wasn't going to work. It wasn't because I just tried it and it didn't work. So I need to take all suggestions. It doesn't matter what I want anymore. I'm taking all suggestions because those people are sober and I'm not. Those people are doctors and I'm not. So I really did that step one where I just took my hands off the wheel entirely because I didn't even know what to do anymore. It's like same analogy. It's like I got out of my car and stuck my thumb out to hitch a ride because I just couldn't do it anymore. Somebody else was going to have to turn the wheel. Um, so so that's what I did, and I feel like I had a really good detox. I didn't go to a fancy place. I went to INOVA CATS in Fairfax, and as part of the program, if any of you are thinking about it or are not sure what happens there, um, it's so you meet with all the people that are in there, like your other peers that are admitted in there, and throughout the day. There's like a whole schedule throughout the day. It was not overwhelming or anything. We had time to ourselves to like sit and read, or there's even like a TV room. You can go in there and watch TV, watch the football game, whatever you want. There's a kitchen with food you can eat, and then we would go to like, we'd have an AA meeting. I think it was every day we had an AA meeting where we all shared. Um, and it's an AA meeting with a bunch of people who don't know how AA meetings run. So it was very comfortable. You know, we had somebody experienced with AA meetings who came in, just another drunk who came in, shared their story, and then we shared if we wanted to. You never have to share. Um, in the detox facility, it's more encouraged to share than necessarily in outside AA meetings. You can sit back and be a wallflower for your entire life. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could in AA. And then we also had like craft time. Of course, you guys know me, you lifetime listeners. Craft time was my favorite. And then we also got to meet with an addiction counselor, somebody who reviewed our physical health, our blood, like when we got our blood drawn in the beginning and when we get our blood tested in the end. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember that happening, but that's what happened because I remember looking at the numbers of my liver count had to improve in order for them to release me. And so it was in this time that I met with an addiction counselor that that was one of the times where I got suggestions. And the suggestions included to go to AA meetings. I think it was like 3 or 4 times a week and something like that. And that was about what I did 3 or 4 times a week. A lot of people do 90 and 90, so 90 meetings in 90 days. I didn't do that. I didn't have a sponsor that really mentioned that to me or anything. I don't think time would have allowed me to do that because one of the other suggestions was to go to IOP, which is an outpatient program to learn about the disease of alcoholism and learn about addiction. So I did that and I was required to, I was driving 4 or 5 hours a day in order to, already had a long commute and then I had another commute to get to my IOP class and back to work. And then, I also squeezed in an AA meeting. So I really was maxing out the number of hours in the day. I didn't go to an AA meeting on the days that I had my IOP class and that kind of thing. Other suggestions were to go to an addiction therapist when I was released from detox. And I did that. I actually, the second time I got out of detox, I found an addiction therapist. My husband and I went online and we literally flipped through all these people and I just wanted to pick the person who looked like, I don't know. I don't know what I was looking for. I was looking for somebody who was older because I get along really well with older people. So I was looking for somebody who looked older, somebody who looked friendly. And looks can be deceiving, but I actually nailed it. I had a great therapist I went to for 2 years every week. I can't believe I was so consistent with it. And yeah, there were lots of weeks I didn't want to go, but I never walked out of there thinking, that I shouldn't have done that. You know, that didn't do me any good. I feel worse after therapy than I felt before therapy. That never happened. Um, and then other suggestions were to get a sponsor and get a home group. I didn't know what that meant. Um, I didn't know what it meant until I went into a meeting and after the meeting, I talked to a woman and I said, "Will you be my sponsor?" I said, "I don't know what that means, but will you be it?" You don't have to know what it means to do it. And I didn't know what a home group meant either. Um, a home group just means that that's the meeting you go to the most, and it's where you would volunteer. If you were to volunteer for a position, that's the one you would volunteer for, like to make coffee before the meeting or to be secretary, which is like they give you the script where you just um, read what events are going on in the area. It's all of it is super easy. There there are all shapes and sizes of people, metaphorically speaking, that that do that volunteer for these things. Like it's no big deal, even though it feels like a big deal when you volunteer. So, all of these suggestions, I took them. I did it. I no longer listened to that part of me that I talked about anxiety yesterday. I no longer listened to that part of me that was anxious, that was fearful of doing these things. Uh I turned that person away and I welcomed this next right thing. I've turned off my wanter and I just did what I was told. And I've always been kind of a rule follower throughout my life. Even though I do learn things the hard way, for the most part, I like to make people happy. I'm a people pleaser, so I like to do what people tell me to do. Even though sometimes, my husband would probably disagree. I have a lot of resistance sometimes, but it's not on purpose. It's like I can't control it. I don't want to do what people tell me to do. But I do try to do that, especially with my program. When my husband tells me a certain way I need to be cutting onions, I listen to that too. But there's a lot of things that I'm like, no, my way is better. So when when I first went into these meetings and I was terrified. I don't know what I was scared of. Even today, I go to the 7 a.m. meeting and the 8 a.m. meeting, and my 8 a.m. meeting, for some reason, I get super nervous before I share in there. It's just a virtual meeting. I have to leave my camera off. I choose to leave my camera off because of my vision and head issues, because I'm always looking over top of the device anyway. I'm not actually looking at the screen for the most part. So I just leave it off. And I don't know why I get so nervous in there, but I do. I guess I just don't know those people as much. No idea. So there is a certain level of anxiety that I think is natural for um, addicts and alcoholics when they go to meetings, and you want to share your experience, but it's hard. This stuff is really hard. But I need to do it as often as I take my medication for my anxiety. I need to go to meetings as often as I take my stroke prevention medication. Um, Relapse prevention. This occurred to me after my meetings today. I thought relapse prevention and stroke prevention, they both require daily attention. They both require me to take medication. They both require me to get rest, eat healthy. That self-care, they both require it. Oh, Boris wants to be a co-host. There he is. Oh, you're welcome. You're never going to see a face like that again today. Um, and I also spoke about perseverance and consistency yesterday. And that is what these things take for me in my life. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because it's helping me. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing for this podcast as well, because I continue to have a growing community of people who are um, giving me feedback that they are finding strength and hope and have a lot of gratitude for me. I guess just being open, open and willing to share my experience. And I'm so passionate about it. I just don't want, if I can get others to not have to suffer to the degree that I did, it's well worth it. My pain and suffering is, I laugh when I say that, that's weird, but my pain and suffering is well worth it. If I can allow it to help more and more people. So, that's where we're at. And speaking of distractions, I had a lot of them today. If you did not see the video, go look at it and watch Autumn jump over my shoulder. That's what I'm about to do. So, have a great day and thanks for listening. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.